Good afternoon, folks. It's Robert Chappell here, Executive Editor of Madison365 with your daily update for Monday, April 25th. It is Monday. That means it is Metcalf's Monday. Metcalf's is a fourth generation family owned and operated market with stores in Madison at Hilldale and behind the West Town Mall and in Wauwatosa at 68th and State. They work to support local farmers and products and have over 3,500 local products on their shelves. You can order for pickup or delivery at shopmetcalfs.com, which might not be a bad idea considering what we're going to talk about right now with the COVID numbers, which are not doing that well. As I predicted on the podcast this morning, the 7-day average of new cases is back up over 1,000. It was at 890 something on Friday. And if you listen to the podcast this morning, it's only 10 minutes podcast. I said I wouldn't be surprised if when the numbers come in this afternoon, we're back up over 1,000. And we are. With 696 new cases just reported today. That's, remember, Mondays are always lower. That our 7-day average is now 1,071. The 7-day average of positive test rate is a very ugly looking 8.2%. We want that to be below 3, right? So 8.2, not great. The other number that's troubling is now looks like for about a week in a row, about a steady week, the hospitalizations have been rising. They're not bad yet. 185 currently in hospital. So we're not at critical levels. We're not overwhelming the hospitals at this moment. However, anytime you see a trend that's going upward, that's not great news. The 185 is 48 more than a week ago. That's a significant percentage increase. 33 of those are in the ICU. That's 7 more than a week ago. So we are seeing, remember we talked about this, that as the cases go up, does that also lead to an increase in hospitalizations? And for a long time, it didn't. For several weeks, it didn't. But now it seems to be. Not a big increase, not a bad increase. It seems a little bit less severe in terms of hospitalization and deaths than previous variants. Speaking of deaths, the 7-day average of confirmed deaths is still very low at 2. I wouldn't be shocked if that starts to creep up slightly in the next week or two. That lags behind hospitalizations by a week or two. So right now it's only 2 per day. It's 0 confirmed deaths yesterday. So that is a pretty low number. Okay, so that's the COVID news. Everything's going up, but not nearly as dramatically as it did during Omicron. Not even really as badly as it did during Delta, right? Remember at the beginning of the Delta surge back in August, we were at 3,800 cases a day. So even 1,000 cases a day doesn't sound great. It's not as bad as we have been, but moving in the wrong direction. Masks are not required pretty much anywhere anymore other than Madison schools, which will only be required for another week probably. But maybe you should mask up some places. You should get your boosters. Only 33% of us have gotten boosters. Get your booster if you can. If you can, get your booster so that people who can't get their boosters are protected from you, basically, right? Okay, so that is the COVID update. We got a couple other things to mention. It's going to be a short update today. But we do have a few interesting stories on the website. Go to Madison365.org to get all the latest news. But I went this morning to a really nice event, wonderful event. It kind of started by these two students. There's Marina Fox Baker on the left. She's a junior at Madison East. And Issa Sais is a junior at Madison West on the right. They were freshmen when they and some other students within the Native American Student Association started talking about maybe having a land acknowledgement at their high schools. The first thought was if we could buy a plaque and put one at East and one at West and just acknowledge that this is Ho-Chunk land that we're on. By the way, neither of these girls is a member of the Ho-Chunk Nation. They're both indigenous, but not from the Ho-Chunk Nation, which is the nation that sort of was ancestrally here in the Madison area. They met with Dr. Carlton Jenkins, the new superintendent, when he first started, even before he really started back in 2020. And he encouraged them to think bigger. And now, as a result of those efforts, we learned at this ceremony this morning that every school in Madison will have a plaque acknowledging the ancestral heritage of this land as Ho-Chunk land. and pledging to work harder to integrate Indigenous culture, Indigenous history into the curriculum. So again, I've got that story. I also stream it live on Facebook. If you scroll down our Facebook feed a little bit, you can see the whole video. It's about an hour long, but it's worth your time to take a look at. So again, that's at Madison365.org. Also today we have a feature on this guy his name is Austin Brantley. He's a ceramics artist, self-taught, by the way. Coming out of high school, he got recruited to some of the most prestigious art schools because he was already making a name for himself as a ceramic sculptor, and has not gone to college at all. He just keeps being successful and getting noticed in the art world. And we are very lucky to have him here in Madison for this couple of weeks at Madison College in the Truex campus. He has an event. It's happening actually right now, this dinner event where he's speaking. But then the gallery opening reception is tomorrow evening, and then he'll have an artist talk midday Wednesday. All the details of that and his exhibit, including a couple of photos of some of these works. The exhibit is called Course, and it really celebrates and examines and leads into Black hair as a social determinant, social issue, as an identity issue. Really interesting stuff, really interesting guy. I'd encourage you to take a look at that exhibit. And finally today, Jenny Van Sickle, who we've been keeping track of her career for the past several years. She is the first person of color to be elected to the presidency of the city council in the city of Superior, all the way up north on Lake Superior. She's been on that common council, the city council there, for 5 years. It will be running for a fourth term in the spring and was just elected president of that council. I spoke with her on Sunday, and I've got that story for you at Madison365.org. That's all I have for you today. I hope you have a wonderful evening. Stay warm. It's a little chilly. And we'll be back tomorrow with more news for you. Until then, take care. Have a great evening.
This is 365 Media.